You got into design by accident.
I grew up loving to make things with my hands, but I didn't think a career in design was something that was possible. But I also think it's important to stay abreast of technology and platforms and the way that people are communicating today. So we have to learn how to speak the language of business. It's those two things that come together, work in concert, that actually make it successful.
How do you challenge yourself to be out there and deliver your message? Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Perspective Podcast. I have a very special guest today with me, Chris Doe. Chris is an Emmy Award winning designer, director, CEO, and chief strategist of Blind and the founder of The Futur, an online education platform with the mission of teaching 1 billion people how to make money doing what they love. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Chris, I read an article about you where you say that you were interested in creative things all your life, but you got into design by accident. You also went through like a lot of challenges. So, tell us a bit more about your story and how you got into what you do today.
Yeah, I grew up loving to make things with my hands, but I didn't think a career in design was something that was possible. Mostly because of my upbringing. I'm a first generation immigrant from Vietnam to the United States. And my parents wanted me to do something that was more traditional, something more predictable, like being an accountant, an attorney, engineer, a lawyer, something like that,
Yeah.
and or a doctor. And so it was just kind of me doodling. I caught the attention of a couple of people that my younger brother's wrestling coach said, "Hey, I think your brother does something with art. He might want to go to work for this screen printing place." And I thought this is incredible. What a dream come true. I'm in high school at this point, and I decided to apply my talents there. So I work on some things and I present it to my potential employer. His name is Brad Chapoya at Screen Designs, and he gave me a job on the spot, and that sent me on a whole different direction in life.
And do you think like high school is a great place for people who are passionate about art?
High school is a great place for like still trying to figure out who you are, I think.
Mm.
And I think there's a lot of like teenage energy that's going on there that probably still you're just figuring out what I want to do in life. Now, people who figured out early on, I think, are very fortunate and blessed. I was in a yearbook class, and this guy knew he wanted to be a photographer. I was like, I admired him because he was so clear about his focus, where he was going to go to school, and everything he did was in alignment with that. It took me a little longer to figure it out.
Yeah, so you got into the design world very long time ago, and everything changes so quickly, like the internet, social media, the way people interact with art, and even the way people consume content. So how do you continuously stay relevant with all these changes in the same time when like too many people struggle to adapt those changes?
I think being an artist is to adapt to what's going on in the world, to speak about things that are relevant, topical things, things that are in the news, things about social unrest and political change. I think that's important for you to be able to tap into what's going on. Otherwise, you get left behind. But I also think it's important to stay abreast of technology and platforms and the way that people are communicating today. You don't want to be stuck in the past, and that's why we're calling our company the future.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think what differentiates you as designer is your knowledge about business and marketing in general. Like I see too many designers, they just focus on diving deep into the design aspect of everything and nothing else. How do you think that helps you like to go a step ahead of your competition? And do you think that it's something every designer needs to adopt or uh, I mean it depends on your character as well?
Yeah, I think there are a few exceptional people who are able to rise to the top of the industry where they just rely purely on talent. And most of us don't have that kind of talent. So we have to learn how to speak the language of business and become bilingual. We speak the language of art and design. But in order for us to interact with business people in any kind of meaningful way, we need to learn to speak their language, the language of business. And I think that's where the magic happens. Let me make this comparison, a story for you. Okay. I wrote my first book like a year and a half ago, 2 years, and writing the book was hard. It was difficult. And you would say that, it's my ideas and it's a lot of design and energy put into it, but the book doesn't sell itself. So you think that writing the book and getting the book published or printing it is the end of the journey, but it's just the beginning of a much more difficult journey, which is things about marketing and surprisingly fulfillment. Like I can ship the book to anywhere in the United States, but when we get to Canada, South America, Europe, and Asia, it becomes a huge logistical problem because shipping is so expensive. So this, I think people can start to understand. You think it's all about the work, and in a sense it is, but then that's just the beginning, because if you don't do marketing, if you don't do the business component of it, distribution, everything else, then nobody has your book. It's those two things that come together, that work in concert, that actually make it successful.
Yeah. And do you like, for example, do you enjoy doing those stuff or you like to outsource it to other people and you take care of the design only?
I enjoy the challenge, but I know that in order for it to be a success, I need to work with a lot of different partners and friends and employees to make it happen. So we need to be able to do that. It's not just my sole focus in life is to get a book in the hands of people. There's other things I want to do.
Yeah, yeah. So I read your bio on Instagram, a loud introvert with a big mission. You can't imagine how this speaks to me as an introverted person who's willing like to make a lot of change. So communication is the key when it comes to building a successful personal brand and business. But how can introverts fill that gap? How do you challenge yourself to be out there and deliver your message?
There's good news for you. As an introvert, you lose energy by being around people. So you can still do things that fit within who you are to attract people to you. There's still a lot of things that you can do. You can create content, you can record videos, you can interview artists and people who inspire you, and you can put that out there. I don't think that goes against who you are as an introvert. You're never going to be that comfortable around a large group of people that are strangers to you. I'm not pretending that I am or that you can be. You can make steps and you can improve it, but it still gives me anxiety to this day to be around a lot of strangers. So the way I compensate, the way I overcome these challenges is I let my work, the things I write, the things I record and produce to do the speaking for me.
Mm.
I'll give you a little funny example. A couple of years ago, I was at Adobe Max and it was my first time attending. And I was there by myself. No one else was there. Nobody from my team. I didn't know anybody. And so, of course, this is a little strange, but where else am I supposed to feel comfortable? I mean, there are 13,000 or 20,000 people that are designers and creatives. If I can't feel comfortable in my own tribe of people, where am I going to feel comfortable? So here's what I do. I walk down the hallways, and as the sessions are ending, people are streaming out of the conference rooms into the hallways. And I just kind of stand there hoping that somebody will recognize me and say, "Hey, I watch your channel," or "I love that video," or something like that, or one of my former students. So what I'm trying to tell you is my calling card, my introduction happened months and years before. By creating all the kind of content that I have, I make it a lot easier for people to get to know me. And then I don't have to have the social skills to be able to interact with them. All I have to do is stand there and wear something that they can recognize it's me. I'm not trying to hide in that way. And so I like to say, like, your reputation is what people say before you arrive. And if you consistently put out good quality content on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, wherever else, now Clubhouse, people will get to know who you are, and it'll do a lot of the hard work for you.
Yeah, I think like everyone has their own method of communication that they feel comfortable in. You just need to find that method for you, which is right for you.
Yes.
Awesome. So millions of people learn from your content on social media or YouTube. And what I like about your content is that you are teaching people, but without making them get bored. And I realized this like on myself because I'm not interested in design. And when I was doing a research about you, I started watching your videos and spent hours watching them. So is there a specific framework you use to make your videos entertaining or fun to watch while keeping it educating?
Yeah, you have to realize that whatever you do, you have to fight against the noise that's out in the world, and there's a lot that's competing for your attention. And so you have to make your videos entertaining. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you have to make it entertaining and you have to keep raising the stakes. One of the best people who do this is a guy by the name of Mr. Beast. I forget his real name, but Mr. Beast has a simple premise. It's like some gigantic clickbaity thing that you must watch. Like whoever takes their hand off this car wins the car, and they win a Lamborghini. But in the way that he structures his content, every 3 or 4 minutes, the game changes and it keeps changing. So otherwise, yeah, I get it. It's kind of a boring thing. Like once you get the hook, the premise, people will stop watching. So that's one way. So you're always changing the game, adding and raising the stakes so people will want to keep watching.
Mm.
That's one way. Another way that you do it as a teacher is you tell people what you're going to tell them, then you tell them why it matters, then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them, and then you get out of there. And you have to realize within the first 30 to 60 seconds, there's a huge drop off in retention because if you don't get to the point really, really fast, people zone out. You have to remember that as a teacher, people are going to watch your videos. It's called just in time learning. Like, I have a problem, my computer just crashed, or I have a deadline and I can't figure out how to do this in After Effects or Premiere. And that's what they're searching for. So they're not going to sit there and comb through 30, 40 minutes of stuff waiting for you to tell them what's important.
Yeah.
So begin at the beginning with a sharp hook, set that hook and pull them in deep, and then tell them what they're going to get and get right to it. In the middle of the content, you can add some jokes and some funny little bits. But if you lose them before that, they have no chance to get there.
Yeah, I love that. Your mission is to help people make money doing what they love. One of the most common questions people ask is, how do I find my passion? And I see people who are like maybe even in their 30s and they still like they don't know what their passion is. What are your thoughts on that? What's the best way that someone can use to find their passion?
Yeah, I believe everybody was put on Earth um, to and has at least one unique gift that gives them a competitive advantage over most people. And we spend most of our life looking for that gift. Now, there's no set timeline. Of course, it could take a lot longer for some people, and some people who are 4 years old can figure it out. So it doesn't matter if you're 4, 14, or 44. It is within you to go and find this thing, and you should spend your life finding this thing that you're good at, this thing that gives you joy, that you have an advantage over other people, and aligns with your purpose and how you want to make a positive impact into the world. I think there are workshops, some of which I've done, some books that you can read on this. And there's a Japanese concept. If you want to Google this afterwards, search Ikigai, 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 and it's the reason for being. When what you do, what you love, what pays well, and what the world needs is in perfect alignment.
You have some great courses about different topics like social media marketing, branding, design, and YouTube. So, before we wrap up, tell us a bit more about your favorite one from them and where can people find it?
Yeah, my favorite course that I offer people right now is my typography course. It's our bestseller. It's had over 5,400 students enrolled in it, and it's earned over $500,000.
Mm.
Why do I want to talk about this one? Well, because typography is the key to design. It is what made me feel like an anxious, nervous, not confident, insecure designer to becoming a confident person who felt like I was in control of what it is I was making. Typography is the key. There are not a lot of places that teach it or teach it well. So I encourage anyone who's interested in design or becoming a better designer and understanding the relationships between things on the screen to learn about typography.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.